Hey, it's Alan Ferguson. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Pipeline to Profitability. The podcast is proudly sponsored by Success Academy. Today we have Matt Benton from Real-Time Marketing, Trenchless Marketing. This is not the first time Matt's been on the podcast. We had a lot of fun last time discussing getting more calls for your plumbing and drain business. One of the things we're going to uncover today is it really more calls you need? If it is, Matt's your guy. But what about just trying to get more from every call you already run? I'm guessing you're already doing that, right? So anyway, let's bring Matt into the podcast and looking forward to seeing where this can go. Hey, it's Alan Ferguson. Here we go again. I've got Matt Benton from Real-Time Marketing, and this is our second podcast, Pipeline to Profitability. And today we're going to dig well and truly into the trenches for real-time marketing. Matt's going to tell us what new is going on in his world. And welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Hey, thanks, Alan. It's great to be back. I really appreciate you taking the time to have me on. So really enjoyed the first one. It was great to get a lot of feedback from my friends, and it's great to be on this one. Talk about the things that we love, drains and trenchless, and where it's all going and what it all means from a marketing perspective.
Yeah, and that again, yeah, thank you for coming back on, Matt. I really did enjoy the last conversation. And all the contractors I work with, they all say the same thing. I need more leads. I need more leads. I thought it's not really the problem in my view.
I hear that too.
And I'll touch on that. But I thought, well, you want more leads? Who better to get you more leads than Matt Benton from Real-Time? And I've been following you from afar for many years because we're in the same circles in the drain space. And just some of the cool things you're doing, I'd love to hear more about what's going on with your app and all your new technology to help our contractor friends get more leads, right? Which is not really the problem.
Yeah, well, everybody wants drains. That's the holy grail, because drains get you in the door. I guess that's the proverbial way of trying to get in there. You know, you want to get in, be the first one in to diagnose the drain. So I've been hearing that for 12 years now, and I get it. It's really important. You know, some people want to get in and get the drain lead and try to get that main line, or recommend them, or just be the first one in to try to get the business, or get the first quote over to them. Yeah, so I've been doing this for a very long time. I think just as long as anyone else, or maybe longer than most. So I have dedicated much of the last 12 years to come up with solutions. The one thing about my customers, and it's changing. I can look back 12 years, 13 years where we're at today, but there was a lot of how would you say, a lot of discontinuation with processes. They would work out of their truck, they would be on their cell phone, and so we try to help contractors be a little more connected to the internet, real time, customers, consumers, and kind of have a system in place that helps to boost their bottom line, helps to build their company. You see a lot of it today. I mean, where drain companies are, trenchless guys and plumbing guys. I mean, there's so much availability. There's so many great coaches and companies out there that can really help organize these companies. And because it's tough to figure that out all on your own. You need help, you need friends, you need partnerships. But once you have it dialed in, someone like yourself, you can make a big difference. One project that I'm working on right now is called nodig.com, and I'm in probably the final phase of getting ready to launch it. And it's going to be the largest drain or sewer repair directory in the US. We have quite a few on there right now as it currently exists, but what we're doing now is we're adding our software, which is called Real-Time 360, and we're bundling it into the directory so that when a client, and it's going to be geared toward housewives, it's going to actually be kind of a pretty a sewer repair website. So the logic goes, we did some research, and the logic goes, you have a situation with your main line, you have a situation with your drain, you're probably not going to be in the best mood. We wanted someone to land on our site and to have that moment of, aha, this is what I was looking for, and kind of walk them through that scenario. So it's going to be, search based by zip code or IP address, if you will. So wherever they search, it's going to pop up 2 or 3 of the top rated, no dig, verified installers. And we're going to have reviews and descriptions, and it's going to give the homeowner peace of mind. They'll be able to, depending on who they click on and where they land, they'll be able to communicate with them in real time using our real-time chat. And the next iteration that we're working on now, when we start onboarding contractors, is a quick little information slide, if you will, and try to work on getting estimates out in real time and booking in real time. So we're excited. We're going to have a lot of fun, and I think our contractors are really going to like it.
Yeah, it's funny, I talk to a lot of plumbers, and not just in Australia, but here in the US, because I think I'm based here in Houston now. But there is a lot of knowledge out there, but when it comes to selling trenchless and getting the drain call, there's probably, I think the knowledge is out there, but most of the people most of the plumbers I speak to don't really have their hands in that knowledge. But like I said to you, Matt, the most common request I get is I need more calls. I need more calls. And the very first thing I do is I dig into, have they got a process in place for the calls they've already got? Most of them no. How actively are you communicating with your existing customers? Not very. How many existing customers do you have? Don't know. I think knowing the numbers is important. But look, I learned that you can spend a lot of money trying to get those mainline blockages. And I think that, and you would probably have more numbers than me. So what I'd like to know, I have been playing in this space for well over 20 years now, and worked with some of the best companies, drain companies on the planet, is what I want to know. When someone's got a gurgling drain, what are they thinking? Do I need a trenchless company, or do I just need a company to come and get the water to go down? I mean, that's my question. I already know the answer, but I'm curious your thoughts.
Well, it's improving, the more awareness with trenchless, but I think if it's gurgling, they're going to want a plumber. They're going to want someone who come in and clear that drain line, whether they call it a plumber or a rooter, whatever the case may be. That's generally probably going to be the search. And I want to hit on something you said earlier. I have contractors all the time, and they want more leads, and we go in and we look, and there's so many things they're not doing. And you said it, how many customers do you have? Because we like to design SMS or texting marketing campaigns back to your existing customers. And you can do it quarterly, and you can have specials and things like that. And yeah, that's really important. You want to develop a relationship, build your brand, stay in contact with your customers. They're your customers, and it's amazing to me that, and it's getting better, but there's still a good amount of plumbers out there that don't know their numbers, and you have to know the data. You have to know your numbers, right? So that's the first step. Moreover, when someone comes to me and they say, Matt, I need more leads, and I'm like, well, who are you with? Who are you marketing with? And they'll say X, Y, and Z. I'm like, great, let's go take a look. And we'll see things like, a website that's not user-friendly, a website that doesn't load fast, a website that doesn't tell their story. But we'll also see things like their Google business profile page has not been touched. And this is the most maddening thing. Look, by design, and I think I just made a post recently about this, you can add your social media links to your Google business profile page. That's less than 3 weeks old, right? That's new. And that's really important, and setting that aside, there are a lot of really well-organized companies that can play the game very well, and they make a lot of fake GBP accounts, right? Well, that's coming to an end. So you're going to attribute your social media to your GBP. And, that tells me what Google's been doing for a very long time. I believe your Google business profile is so important to plumbers, to people who do drains, also even trenchless as that continues to grow, that category. But, this is the future. GBP attached to your social media will smoke your website any day of the week, excuse me. Wow. And maybe not today, but it is happening already. So, but I tell my customers, we live in a society now or a time now where they think their website is most important, has to be their website, put all my money on my website. It is important, but things have changed. It's not the end all be all. You have other layers, and they have to all dovetail, and they have to be connected with some sort of connective tissue of telling your story. The biggest aspect for ranking on GBP is that right there. Is your website, your content is effective? Is it authoritativeness? Is it trustworthy? If you can take that message and extrapolate it, take it to your GBP, then sprinkle in your social media, have your social media effective, and then your local service ads. If you can get those down, my clients that we do that for never call me and go, "Hey, I need more leads." I never hear that. If you do those things right, right? Most don't. Most marketing companies don't even understand that. So, unfortunately, and then some of the companies that I talk to that are desperate, I won't even take a desperate client on. If I see they're calling me and they're super desperate and they don't have half the stuff done, and they're not organized, and they don't have people answering the phone, I won't take that client on. All that client wants is a home run. And you could probably give them a home run, but you can't give them a home run all the time. Sometimes a home run is deceptive. I'm all about base hits. I'm all about moving players across the field, across the board, right? And you do that through effective marketing. You don't always swing for the fence. And so we've changed. And if we sit down and we talk to our clients, if they understand our plan, our methodology, and they're patient and they want to invest in it, we are the right company, but you want to invest in it. It's going to take a little bit of time. This is going to work first. We'll get your LSA going. We'll get your GBP going. We'll get your map rankings going. We'll get your website optimized, maybe even a pay-per-click, but this is how it's going to work. And if you're okay with that, then we'll take them on. If they're desperate and not okay, and like, no, it doesn't work. I need calls tomorrow. I got 6 trucks. Guys are leaving me. I can't take that client on.
That's good. I like how you roll, Matt. And look, something else too, and we know the same people, not just here in the US, but also down under. And the most profitable company that I know of, and we both know who this is. He owns multiple companies. Some are in the US, some are in Australia. Doesn't spend a lot of money on marketing. Refuses to do pay-per-click,
Right.
but has massive retention rates from his existing customers. Probably one of the, I hate to use the word dearest, but let's say he probably provides more value than most companies and charges accordingly. So I hate to use the word expensive because it's probably not the right word. But every single lead they get, that call is run perfectly, and it's to add as much value as possible. So I'll go back to what I said. Most of the companies I work with do not need more calls. And I understand exactly what you're saying. If they're desperate, trying to get more calls is friggin' expensive. Another thing that I've been teaching for years is the time when you need to market the hardest is when you're busy, not when you're quiet. Because when you're quiet, because everything we do now has got an effect. It might be a couple of weeks down the track. It could be a couple of months down the track. And that's why it's important to have a strategic plan. A marketing plan, I feel, is more important, and plan this stuff out. But like I said, 80% of the companies that I work with have tried loss leaders, and they're running discounted drain calls, but they've got absolutely zero sales process in place to actually convert that to the repair. Because at the end of the day, why do contractors want the mainline stoppages? Because there's a problem, and it's an easy way to the repair. What if I could tell everyone that's listening to this podcast is that we were able to generate about 30% of our total drain calls. We had roughly 30 trucks, all with jetters and cameras. But 30% of that was from our outbounding activities, our marketing activities to our existing customers, our extended warranties, and just the processes we had in place. And I mean, that was, let's call it $3-4 million a year just from existing customers, just being proactive and getting back in front of them. So, but I agree with you 100%. Desperation's not a good thing. And that's why I tell anyone that wants to grow their drain business correctly, I'll just give you the processes. I'll tell you how to get extra calls, but do not just go and throw money into paid ads until you've got, your website needs to have, you need to have the right sales message. It needs to convert at the right percentage. And that's probably where I'd like to go with you about, that they come to the website, then what happens? Do they call you? Do they, and that's why I'm really admire what Billy Stevens is doing with his product, Sira, and his booking app and the way he operates. So, but there's more ways to skin a cat than just throwing money at advertising and hoping that every call you get turns into a big money call. Sorry, back to you, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, that's, when someone lands on a website, they have to have what I call that aha moment. Like, like I'll give you an example. My wife and I, we bought a couple houses, and we flipped a few, and we remodeled a few, and we've had all kinds of contractors. Some contractors that had their game dialed in, they made you feel good. It was fantastic. And there were some contractors that were just awful. And, I don't mind my perspective. I'll pay more for the experience and the peace of mind and the quality of the service. I will gladly pay more if I'm going to receive that. And, people are getting more savvy. If I go to someone's website, and pardon my French, it looks like shit, and you're not respecting me as a consumer, you're not taking yourself seriously, you're not making the right investment. A shitty website looks like a sloppy truck when you have fast food up in your dashboard driving down the street. You're not going to get my business. You're not taking yourself seriously. You don't look professional. And I know I'm going to spend some money, but I'm not going to do it with you. So they have to have that aha moment. When someone lands on your website, it has to look good. You have to invest in your website. You're investing in your future customer by investing in your website. And it has to look the part. It has to be fast. And then you have a couple options. You can call now. You can send in a contact form, but more and more. And the reason why I've invested so much into my real-time chat is because people want to text and have conversations. That's just not in our industry. That's everybody in the world today. Like, I can't call my friends without texting first. Like, what the hell are you doing? Why would you call me out of the blue? Are you a psychopath? So, but people like to text, and you can get a lot of organization through texting, in terms of what's going on, where does this text live inside our database, what service was done. And next up, obviously, I don't know Billy's booking app, but it has to go in that direction. That app has to be able to, obviously, I would think off the top of my head, as we build it out, has to communicate with all different kinds of calendars, right? And it has to, be dynamic, and it has to be able to book and to not book, and to cancel and to book again. There's several things that have to happen, but that's where the whole thing's going. The whole thing's going toward real time, and that's the reason why I named my company Real Time. We're trying to accomplish that through software the best way we possibly can, to connecting the customer and the contractor, and kind of removing any of those pain points or those down points where you could potentially lose a customer, especially when consumers nowadays, like myself, are so savvy.
I freaking love it, Matt. And I'll be upfront with you here. Whenever I'm in a call or a coaching call with a fellow plumber, drain cleaner, because that's most of the contractors I work with want to grow their drain division, I always send them your way, because I know you know what you're talking about. Like me, your dad was a plumber. Thank you for sharing that with me. You pursued marketing, which I think was it's a great place to be. I've got a bit of a well, look, I feel I do have some marketing talent as well, but more so for getting my clients extra drain calls. So the processes. Look, I'm doing a workshop with Billy Stevens next week, and we'll be discussing everything to do with his Sira's an amazing product. It's a game changer, and
It really
it's
is.
the new kid on the block.
It really is.
It has been around for a few years, but just, I know what, I've been watching you from afar. Like I've said, I'm enjoying all your content and everything you're doing with your clients.
Thank you.
If someone really does want to grow that drain division, and look, in my opinion, Sydney's probably one of the most competitive places on the planet for drains, probably because best practice, Service Roundtable, Service Nation, some of the other best practice groups were all based in Sydney. The most proactive companies, not just in Australia, but also comparable with the rest of the US. So anyone that says to me, "Oh, it's really competitive around here," that doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I can usually take someone who hasn't got enough calls. First thing I said, let's get more out of every single call. Let's get more from your existing customers. Let's explore that, but then I send them to you. But let's look into some of the other things that, let's say some of our podcast listeners jump on and just want some tips on getting more from what they're currently doing, because I am going to persuade them to come across to you eventually. But let's say that they're not in a position to do that now. What's a couple of things they can be doing immediately that's going to bring some better results to what they're already getting?
Yeah. So there's, in terms of proximity to their home office, if you will, where their Google business profile page resides, it's very easy to upload and add content. And what I would recommend, is that they use original photography, original images. And it's so simple. So many guys don't do it. It's so simple. You have a smartphone, take a picture, right? And upload it to your GBP and write a little description about it, and maybe we can show you how you can add a geolocation as well to that image, so that Google knows it's yours and where it originated from. Those clusters of proximity and consistency in message will get your ranking on Google Maps sooner than later, quicker than you think, if you take it really seriously. Let's say you have 3 jobs, a day or whatever, and you can upload those jobs. By the end of the week, you got 15 to 20 jobs, 15 to 20 posts, and that's a good thing. That consistency of your message and your brand with original photography, with descriptions, and then adding in your social media. I think your social media, as it stands right now, if you look on your About page on your Google business profile, you can add your social media links. And I would tell these guys who don't have a lot of money, do that. It's not expensive.
I'm gonna, like I said, Matt, I'm gonna send more contractors your way, because I know once they get to know you, they get to know what you and your amazing team do. Love your ads, by the way. There, you and your wife have done a great job with that. That's one of the things I tell all the companies I work with, to you got to get some stuff out there. It doesn't have to be professional. Yours is, I believe. You might say, nah, we're just mucking around with it, but it looks professional. People looking for a local plumber or a plumber to clear a drain, that they want a professional company. So, and this is another interesting observation. And we tested this because we had a multi-trade company, plumbing, electrical, water heaters, heating, cooling. And it wasn't until we broke away with a sub brand that was just drains. There was nothing but drains. And in Australia, we don't use the word router. It's got a different meaning in Australia. And I'm not going to go there on this podcast because there could be children listening. It's got but in the US, the word router, because what's the biggest brand, the biggest service company brand in the US? It's probably got the word router in it, right? So you need to know what words to use. But look, there's so many things that these contractors can do to get a couple of extra calls. I think getting to know you and what you're about is a good start, right?
And when they do their descriptions, the one thing that's always been fascinating to me, trying to be a search expert and talking to people who are search experts, and then you just never know how someone is going to search. And now Google has really, have it figured out. So if I'm talking about cracked cast iron, in your descriptions, talk about the problem and talk about what the pipe's made out of, 4-inch root infested cast iron pipe, put more descriptions into that, and that's going to trigger Google a little more to make you an authority, right?
Mm.
Once you get the nod from Google that you're an authority, and by the way, if you do all this with your GBP and your website looks like shit, Google knows that. So you got to make sure your website's all that pertains. But if you put the extra effort in, you put in better, more professional, more detailed descriptions, you're going to get the nod. And the great thing about GBP is it's so close to your home address. You're going to get leads closer to you, proximity. You're not going to have to drive across town, right? An hour and a half each way, right? Hopefully you're just going to get that lead, and maybe you're 10 or 15 minutes out, So it baffles me why people don't optimize their Google business profile page more. And how much money, for instance, I don't know if people know this. I'm a Google partner on a certain level, and we meet with Google weekly, some of their higher ups, and they test things through us, through my firm. Mm-hmm. And we're one of their top firms that they test things with. So I have to sign an NDA, and I can't tell you everything about what Google's doing, but I implore people to take your GBP seriously. Just as we built local service ads, advanced management, when everyone made fun of me a few years ago, now everyone's doing it, right? If Google's going to invest in something, specifically, I'll go back to GBP, and they have been investing, and it's been changing, and it's been evolving, there's a reason why. Now, I would go so far as to say, if I can sound like a madman, eventually, Google Business Profile will render your website useless. You're not going to need it in the future. This could be a year from now, could be 2, could be 3 years from now. I don't know. But Google's going to dial that in, and they're going to start charging for leads. That would be my guess, right? So, it's an opportunity. Many Google Business Profile pages aren't well developed. It's an opportunity for a low-cost investment to catch up on some of the bigger guys. And why people aren't doing it, I don't know, but they should be.
I love it. I'm probably going to get, I'd like to get maybe an introduction together for all of our current clients. We'll put something up in our social page as well, just to, you might have something that some value you can give to anyone that is thinking of upgrading their website.
I love that.
Yeah. I as I said, Matt, I really, I work with a lot of website companies, and I've had other website companies on this podcast, and there's some really good guys out there. I mean, the US is big. It's massive compared to the tiny little country that I came from, being the penal colony Australia. There's some great companies out there, but the reason I'm drawn towards what you do is because we play in the same space. It's shit at times, and sorry about my sense of we just sort of live for the contractor and the plumber that wants to grow their drain business. And the other thing I wanted to add too is most of the companies out there that are trying to grow in the drain space really do need to take a good look at their brand, and not just their website, but does the public see them as a drain company, or do they see them as an air conditioning company that's added a drain division? And I think there is a big difference to that. So we'll probably round up. This has been another great podcast, Matt, and I thank you for joining us. Any exciting books that you're currently reading that you might like to enlighten our audience?
Did we do this last time?
Yeah.
So, well, I don't know, but I do have quite a bit back here, and I'm still reading Good to Great. But yeah, I have a lot right now, and I need to get back into reading a little more and stop making excuses. I'm so busy, but I have a feeling I'll be entering a season of a little more rest here in the next 4 to 6 weeks. And I'm even thinking about doing the circuit next year, doing some traveling that I swore off. So I may be hopping on planes next year and doing some speaking engagements as well. But right now I'm just trying to really wrap up my busy schedule. And my goal is to have the software done, the app done, no dig done, and have all this articulation completed once and for all, so I can take a breath and move forward with some other stuff.
Well, thank you again, Matt. And like I said, I'll get as much information from you to put in the show notes so that we can let if you want to maybe just a little bit of a promotion about your company, some details for anyone that doesn't want to jump in and have a look. So maybe you'd like to conclude with that. How does our podcast listeners get a hold of Matt Benton and Real-Time Marketing?
Yeah, the best way to do it would be my email, which is Matt, M-A-T-T, at realtimemarketing.com. That would be the best way that I would recommend. Or they can call me directly on my cell phone at 928-525-4095. And I'd be happy to take anyone's call. I take everyone. If people that know me will tell you, we've helped thousands and thousands and thousands of companies. We have a lot of active campaigns now. I think 1,300, almost 1,400. And I still take calls from everybody. And I like to give free advice, help. And because you never know, a year from now, that person could call us back and want to partner up. And that's what's all. It's about helping each other, you know. And by the grace of God, I'm at the point now where we are not a firm where we're desperate for sales. We're a firm that we love to help the community and to help make things better. So always.
I love that, Matt. That's fantastic. Yeah. Well, thank you again. Really good to see you.
Same here.
So thank you everyone for listening in to another great podcast, Pipeline to Profitability. It's always a pleasure to have Matt Benton on, and I look forward to catching on another call. Cheers.
We'll talk next time.
Cheers, buddy. Take care.